This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, another big game for the Knicks tonight, folks. They take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And not only is it another big game, but there's another challenge ahead of the Knicks. They will be playing without Julius Randle for the remainder of the season, folks. And yeah, that's definitely big news. And we'll find out how the Knicks can play without Julius Randle now. And I believe if the Knicks win tonight, they can clinch a playoff berth. They won't clinch the 5th seed, but they can clinch a playoff berth because currently the Miami Heat are unable to get more than 45 wins. If the Knicks win tonight, they'll have 45 wins. And since the Knicks win the tiebreaker over the Miami Heat, they should clinch a playoff berth if they win tonight. Right? So, the Knicks got to go out there and get that job done. One more win, they clinch a playoff berth, and then they're vying for position with the Brooklyn Nets for that 5th seed. Andy, what's your thoughts tonight? Julius Randle is out for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jared Allen is doubtful. Danny Green is out. But what's your thoughts? How will the Knicks survive? I don't want to say how will they survive, but how will they play without Julius Randle, do you think?
What up, Sam? What up to the chat? Happy to be on with you. First and foremost, I'm proud that we managed to pull out the show without you, the pregame show that I was a part of. So I'm happy you didn't have to delete the episode.
No, you guys did a great job. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, but going back to the question, how will the Knicks fare without Julius Randle tonight? I'm curious. Actually, I'm really curious how the game will look for the Knicks, because I'm not afraid that even if we take an L today, that's I don't think that's a big problem. I think like you said, they need only one win till the end of the season in these last 5 games. So even if they trip today, it's not going to be a big problem. Then again, I'm curious how the game is going to look, because Julius Randle is a major part of the Knicks offense. So this means that we might see some new tricks from Tibbs. Question is he going to go that route? Then again, I don't see Obi having the skill set that Julius has to be, that much time with the ball on him. And that means that changes will come. And question is if it's going to look better, or, since it is the first game, basically, with Obi starting from the first minute, probably Obi. The question is.
Yeah, I actually don't have Obi starting tonight.
Yeah, you got Josh Hart probably, right?
I believe Josh Hart is going to start, especially tonight because of the matchup. Right? You have two guards in Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Josh Hart is definitely going to start tonight.
Yeah, and we heard Tibbs say that, right? When we traded for Josh Hart, that he can play some forward.
He can play some power forward.
Yeah, so that's also the thing, that what lineup is going to roll out for the Knicks and how the game is going to look. Just having Josh Hart on the main roster might mean that we're going to be moving the ball a little bit more. So
yeah, I mean, it only makes sense to me because if you don't start Josh Hart tonight, then you have Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes to deal with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And I'm not sure Tibbs, wants to, rock with Brunson guarding Mitchell or Garland. Now, maybe he's confident with him guarding those guys and he goes ahead and starts Obi. But I think tonight and going forward, it may be depending on the matchup. You know, it may not be that it's just going to be Obi starting or Josh Hart starting. You know what I mean? It could depend on the matchup and how those teams look. Are they bigger? Are they smaller? What kind of guards do they have? You know, I think it may depend on that. Tonight, I think he goes with Josh Hart. The problem with going with Josh Hart is that you miss his presence coming off the bench. You know, he comes in and defensively changes the game. And I think you miss that if you start Josh Hart or if you start Obi. But see, here's the thing. If you start Josh Hart, if you start Obi, then you're coming off the bench with Quickly, Hart, and Grimes. So you're coming off really small. When you come off the bench, I guess you're still small in that starting lineup anyway, because you got Hart, Brunson, and Grimes too. You know what I'm saying? And I meant to say you got Emmanuel Quickly, McBride, and Hart.
McBride, yeah.
Right? But you're talking about 6'2", 6'4" versus, I guess, 6'2", 6'5", 6'4", with Brunson, Grimes, and Hart in the starting lineup.
Unless Tibbs is going to mention, Jericho Sims, as the 4, playing with either, Hardenstein or Mitch.
So you're saying instead of using McBride, he uses Jericho Sims, starts Obi, and then uses Jericho Sims.
That might be also the case. We saw them play, garbage minutes at the 4, but still, maybe we're going to be too small for some of these teams. So
yeah. I think it's going to depend on the team that we're playing in those matchups. You know what I mean? I think it definitely does. Tonight, given the team, the players who are out, again, Julius Randle is out. It's going to be 2 weeks before he gets evaluated, right? So Julius Randle, there's a good chance he misses the beginning of the playoffs, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's in the books that he misses the beginning of the playoffs, because in 2 weeks he could feel fine. He's not going to want to miss the beginning of the playoffs, but there's a chance that he does. So Julius Randle's out. Jared Allen is out for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Danny Green is out for the Jared Allen is doubtful for the Cavaliers, and Danny Green is out for the Cavaliers. So, as my starters, I'm projecting that Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson start tonight for the Knicks. And then for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Lamar Stevens, and Evan Mobley. That's who I have as my starters for tonight. It's possible that you can go with Obi instead of Josh Hart, and then Grimes. I guess, and then Grimes would, not Grimes. Brunson would guard. In that scenario, I don't know, either LeVert or Lamar Stevens, while Barrett would have to guard Garland or Donovan Mitchell. I don't think that's a good matchup. Now, you could also start Quickly and keep Josh Hart coming off the bench. Right? So, Quickly's been starting for a while, in and out of that starting lineup. So he's been a starter. The bench would stay whole because you would have Hart, Obi, McBride, and Hartenstein. And then for the starters, it would be Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. And you could put Grimes and Emmanuel Quickly on Garland and Mitchell. Barrett can play that 4 spot on the offensive side. Barrett can also guard LeVert or Lamar Stevens. And then Jalen Brunson could guard, either LeVert or Lamar Stevens, whichever one. Probably Lamar Stevens. LeVert is, a little more shifty than Lamar Stevens. Then RJ Barrett guard LeVert. That would still work. And it would keep that bench unit whole. So maybe he goes that way. I don't know. What do you think?
But yeah, that's like I said, Sim. It's really, I'm really curious about the move that Tibbs is going to do because like I said, it's for this game, right? Question is he gonna see some things that he's not gonna like, and next game he's gonna switch up the starting lineup, or even at halftime he's gonna switch him up?
Right.
Because that's also a possibility
That's
that
all.
he might
Yep.
be like, listen, the first half this wasn't working. I gotta switch Obi with someone else from the bench, or the other way around. I'm curious how he's gonna try to use his roster without Julius Randle, because,
Yeah.
like I said, he's such a pillar on the offense, at least, that I think it's going to cause more problems for Tibbs just to plug the next man in.
Right. Right. It is. The more that we talk about it, I actually feel he might start quickly. Based on tonight's matchup, he might start quickly, go with a 3 guard lineup. That way quickly, and Quentin Grimes can defend Garland and Mitchell. Put Barrett at the 4. Let Jalen Brunson guard Lamar Stevens. He's 6'6". He scores like 7 points a game or something like that. Let RJ Barrett guard Karis LeVert. Mitchell Robinson would guard Evan Mobley. And, let the bench remain the way it was. Because you can always, if it's not working, you can always pull in Josh Hart or pull in Obi. This way your rotation stays somewhat the same, because you can bring Josh Hart in for Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, or quickly. If you need to, you can bring him in for 4 different players.
Yeah,
So that might
and
make sense.
yeah, and Sima, I could also envision, and this is more, like playing chess by Tibbs, or even by the Cavs coach, that they're not gonna roll out the squads that they would do versus each other at the playoffs. you know, we know that Julius isn't, going to play this game. What if Tibbs decides to sit Bronson? And then he's not like he's going to throw the game, but he's like, listen, we can take an L tonight, and that's not going to cause a huge problem. We can still get that 1 W versus the rest of the schedule of the regular season, and we're not going to show what we're going to have to do in the playoffs if Julius isn't ready to go. Right? Question is if Tibbs is going to rather not show, or he's going to rather see what he can do. Right? Because that's
Yeah, that's
extra game that he can practice with. So he might go either way.
right. That's the other side of the coin that I was going to say. You actually get a chance to play against the team that you're going to be playing in the playoffs without Julius Randle, so you can think about some things, figure some things out. You have something on film that you can watch over a week and say, okay, what
Yeah.
did we do well? What did we not do well? What did they do well? So, it's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one. Um, they're going to have more time to, they got 4 more games to play without Randall and figure it out. But they'll be doing it against Cleveland. The problem is you're doing it. It's not like Randall's been out for 5 games and now you're doing it versus Cleveland to figure it out. This is the first game that he's out and you're trying to figure it out. Which makes it a little bit tougher, I think. Looking at, and I'm going to change my starting lineups in just a second. But looking at the starting lineups, projected starting lineups, you then have on the bench. See, I got my defensive matchups. So, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the defensive matchups. Again, defensive matchups, I will go with Grimes on Garland, Hart on Mitchell. Those 2 could switch off. Barrett on LeVert, Brunson on Lamar Stevens, Mitchell Robinson on Evan Mobley. If you started this lineup, if you started Emmanuel quickly, I would go with Hart on Mitchell or Hart on Garland, and then everything else would be the same. Right? So either way, Josh Hart or Emmanuel quickly has to start this game, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that will make the most sense in as far as the defensive matchups go, right? If we are going to match up versus the Cavs and we're gonna, take that priority by choosing our starters, that will make the most sense.
Yeah. Um, before we get into the bench and what the bench could look like, what is your thoughts about the Knicks offense and what the Knicks offense might look like without Julius Randle?
Well, I'm envisioning more ball movement, that's for sure, and that's not like with Julius that we play so much ISO and stuff like that, but we play mostly ISO without one pillar of the offense. I think the ball needs to move a little bit more because I don't see, for example, Julius's possessions being like spread it out between quickly Brunson and RJ, for example. I think we're gonna be playing more team ball, move it, try to maybe pick up the pace a little bit more, and not even set up the offense because a fast offense is before the defense sets up, you don't have to go even into your offensive playbook. So we might see run and gun next tonight just
Mm,
to avoid the point that Julius was on the offense, and we might try to go and run fast with them.
yeah, I think we're definitely going to be a perimeter oriented team tonight, right? Obviously, well, I mean, they didn't have much time to do any practicing anyway. I'm sure they did some walkthroughs and some film sessions, to look at ways that they're going to play. But in that versus Miami, you really could see uh, in those moments when Julius Randle should have been in the game or would have been in the game that they were very perimeter oriented. And I would imagine it's going to be much of the same for the remainder of the season. They're going to play on the perimeter. They don't have any choice. Who unless they try to post up RJ Barrett. Can you envision that happening so that they can get some kind of inside play?
Well, some only inside play that we can see in the paint is actually quickly in Brunson because they do that their moves, driving in the paint, stopping, popping, and stuff like that. But even the guys that will um step up for Julius, which is either Hart or Obi, that on the basic offense they're more on the perimeter. So it's like that. In the faster pace, they could still be, trying to run and trying to drive to the hoop. But, question is if this is going to go that way, or is he going to try to play the stagnant offense, set up, slowly and stuff like that. And that way, I like you said, I envision them, moving the ball on the perimeter and trying to get, the threes rolling. If that's not going to be the case,
Yeah.
my
It's going to be. This is definitely going to be a new look for the Knicks. You know, um, I mean, last year when they played without Julius Randle towards the end of the season, their offense was, it wasn't bad. Obviously, they were playing against teams that didn't have much to play for. The Knicks didn't have much to play for. You know what I mean? So it's definitely different now, right? Like tonight they're playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a lot to play for. You know, um, so we'll see the way it looks. Now the Knicks are also playing against a team that are missing their one of their primary players in Jared Allen. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been up and down all season with injuries. Guys here, guys out, da 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 da. So, uh, they won't get a full look at playing against Cleveland without Julius Randle because Jared Allen isn't there. But they'll get enough. They'll get something on film. Let me get to a phone call real quick. And I think I'm changing my mind as far as the starting lineups. This is what my starting lineup looks like now. Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. That's what it looks like now. And then my defensive lineups, Quentin Grimes and Darius. Well, it actually can be Quickly and Darius Garland, Quentin Grimes and Donovan Mitchell, R.J. Barrett, Karis LeVert, Jalen Brunson, Lamar Stevens, and Mitchell Robinson and Evan Mobley. I'll give you a second to think about it. Right, remember on these defensive matchups, Quickly and Grimes, we can switch them. Although either one could guard whoever, in that scenario. I'll give you a second to think about it while we take this phone call. Caller, you live, man. Tell me your name and where you're from, please. Caller, you there? Huh? Guess we missed out. We'll get him back. Andy, it was a quicker moment to think than you thought.
Yeah, but yeah, I got my mind made up. So, Sim, I would go with quickly on Garland. Garland's a
Yeah,
little bit more shifty. The weight category is closer to quickly than Grimes, probably. And I would like to see Grimes on Mitchell a little bit higher, a little bit stronger. That might work a little bit better versus Donovan Mitchell. And like you said, RJ has to play versus Levert, and Brunson has to play versus Stevens. He's the least, skilled offensive player probably out of that, almost four guard and small guys lineup of the Cavs. Mobley has to play versus Robinson. That's a no brainer,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Let's see if we can get the caller on the line now. Caller, you there? I don't know. Maybe the connection ain't working because I don't hear the caller speaking. So we'll see next time. Yeah, I agree with you. I would switch that around and go with quickly on Garland and Grimes on Mitchell. I think that makes the most sense. Then of course coming off the bench, your bench remains intact with Josh Hart, Miles McBride, Obi Toppin, and then Isaiah Hartenstein. So I think that's the less you have less movement that way, right? And you can keep some stability and keep some lineups together. You keep that bench lineup together.
Yeah, and Sim, I think Tibbs really values that chemistry and playing
Hmm.
together with a certain unit. We saw him, whenever someone got injured from the starting lineup, he plugged in the third person in the rotation, the guy that rarely got minutes off the bench. He plugged in Jericho Sims in the lineup when Mitch was out. So he jumped over Hartenstein and
Right.
and went with Sims. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes that route with that
Yeah.
kind of mind of thinking. Right, quickly was started a couple of games. He's getting more comfortable, in the starting lineup. Question is because we didn't see quickly with Brunson in the starting lineup.
Right. Right. Looking at the bench units, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have some injuries as well. Cedi Osman should be playing. Ricky Rubio, Diakate should be playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They may only be down to 8 players playing tonight. We'll see if they throw somebody else in there. I think in their previous game, they only played 8. The benches versus each other. Um, the Knicks bench is averaging 32 points per game versus Cleveland, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, 1.3 steals, 1 block, 4.9 turnovers. They're shooting 50% from the field, but only 28% from the 3-point line, and an abysmal 53.8% from the free throw line. The Knicks, I mean, their numbers aren't spectacular versus Cleveland, but they've been able to win games versus Cleveland this season. The Cleveland bench, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, just under a block, 5.5 turnovers, only shooting 36.9% and 34.9% from the 3-point line versus the Knicks. Um, they're shooting 69% from the free throw line. If you keep this bench intact, I think the Knicks bench, even if you don't, if Josh Hart goes into the starting lineup and quickly goes back to the bench, I think the Knicks bench, should win. If Josh Hart stays on the bench, I think the Knicks bench should win. The Knicks, I believe, should have an upper hand with the bench. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree, Sam. What we know, is basically two of those guys, Ricky Rubio and Cedi Osman. Osman was starting for them a couple of seasons back. Ricky Rubio was a starter in his career in the NBA, but after the injuries that he suffered the last couple of seasons, he's a great point guard. Actually, versus the Knicks, he shoots really well from three. I remember last game, maybe not last game, but previous
Oh my
season at least,
gosh.
he was shooting like 4 or 5 threes a game, and I was like,
What's going on, right?
no, yeah, right. So see, he was one of those guys off the bench that had a great game versus the Knicks, but overall he's just a floor general, right? So you have to look for him to pass the ball more than take shots.
Yeah.
And if the Knicks fail to do that, I think it's all on them. But like you said, I think it's this matchup of the benches is clearly in favor for the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah. The Knicks have won the last two matchups against the Cavs. They beat them on. They lost to them October 30th, early in the season, 121 to 108. They beat the Cavs on December 4th, 92 to 81, and then they beat them on January 24th, 105 to 103. I expect this game to be a tight one. Expect it to be close, um, and I think the Knicks can pull this game out and get this win tonight. I don't know if it's gonna have people will look at it and say, "Oh, well, they beat them 3-1 in the regular season." I don't even want to look at it that way because both teams, each time they played each other, will have different guys on the court, due to injuries and things like that. We can't look at it that way. You know what I mean? We get this win, and then when we get into the playoffs, it's going to be a totally different type of matchup. Everything's going to look different. But I think the Knicks can get this win tonight, win the season series 3-1. That's not going to matter much, right? Because the Knicks have no way to catch Cleveland. They can't catch Cleveland. You know what I mean? So that won't matter much. But I think they can get this win tonight. Both teams, the Knicks are up 2-1. Both teams average 101.7 points per game versus each other. All right. And again, the Knicks are up 2-1. And the scoring, it seems a little bit weird that they average that against each other when you look at, the way the scores break down. I didn't, I got that stat right off of NBA.com, and I didn't take time to break it down and average it out. But, you have one game where Cleveland scored 121 points. And then you have another game where Cleveland only scored 81. The Knicks were always around 108, 105, and then they scored 92. So I guess it probably averages out, somehow, some way, but they're averaging 101.7 points per game against one another. All right, 47 rebounds for the Knicks, 41 for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 22.7 assists for the Knicks, 26 for the Cavs. Both teams with 6 steals, 2.7 blocks for the Knicks, 5 for the Cavs. And that's because the Knicks only have Mitchell Robinson, blocking shots. You know what I mean? The Knicks with 17 turnovers versus the Cavs. I wonder if that changes with Julius Randle being out, right? Because when the Knicks do turn the ball over, a lot of the time Julius Randle is a big source in the Knicks turning the ball over. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that changes tonight. I mean, the Knicks aren't a big turnover team anyway, right? 13 turnovers a game or something like that. But they're 17 against the Cavs. The Knicks are shooting 46% from the field and 29.7% from three versus the Cavs, while the Cavs are shooting 42% from the field and 36.4% from three. The Knicks are shooting 67% from the free throw line. All right, and we'll see how much they get to the line tonight. Julius Randle gets to the line a lot for the Knicks. You know what I mean? So you're definitely going to be missing that. I think Quickly can get to the line. And listen, you really might see Quickly excel with Julius Randle out because the Knicks are going to need that other person that can break down the defense and get to the basket. And I don't know if we can rely on R.J. Barrett to do it, but we know Quickly can. So Quickly, you might see Quickly averaging 20 to 25 points per game throughout this time span. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts? Any thoughts about the numbers?
Well, Simmons, I think, like you said, the numbers, with the average of the points it looks kind of funny, right? Because I don't think you can even set it up that way if you wanted to, but it's summed up. So I also envision it being a close game. I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to be a rather low score because I don't see any team getting 120 points today. Not to mention that we don't have Randall, but we as the Knicks, it's not like we played up or played down to the opposition. But I think we did the offense is rather like I said before, a playoff kind of offense. We don't run fast. We try to play steady. We take 3 pointers, of course, but we also go to the paint to score. So I don't envision us, scoring plenty of points, and that's why we average, barely 100 points versus the Cavs, right? Um, Looking at the rest of the numbers, actually, the rebounding average for the Knicks is a little bit better, but and that's maybe not a shock, but that's also an interesting number because the Cavs with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they got two lengthy guys, at the forward and in the center position.
Right.
So they could easily clean up the boards and win that battle, but the Knicks average more than rebounds than them. So it looks like we're
Yeah.
we're gonna out rebound them, and that's one of the keys to basically most of the games in the NBA and overall in basketball, right?
Right.
If you can clean the board and control the boards, offensively, defensively, it's way easier to win a game.
Yeah. And well, tonight Jared Allen isn't playing tonight, so
Yeah,
but also Julius Randle's not playing. Julius Randle
yeah,
averages 10 rebounds a game,
yeah.
so we'll see which team is able to step up on the boards, and this is where you need Obi Toppin to step up. Josh Hart is going to be able to rebound, but we need Obi to step up on the boards too.
Yeah, at least on the defensive ones, right? At least to clean, grab
Yeah,
those 6, 7, whatever. He's
exactly.
he's gonna manage, and
Yeah, because versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, Obi's averaging 12.8 minutes per game, 8 points, 3.7 rebounds. I would say his minutes are going to double.
they
Right?
should, right?
They should. They should. I would think his minutes are going to double. About 25 minutes a game or so. You know, um, during this time, and hopefully he can give you the production. If he can give you 12, 13, 12 or 13 points and 8 rebounds, I think that would be great for Obi during this time span.
Yeah,
And then Emmanuel quickly can probably pick up some of the scoring load in that starting lineup as well. You know what I mean? The presence is going to be missed. Just Julius Randle's presence. Right? Julius Randle is a big presence in the way that he can, he can play that bruiser role and battle his way to the basket and knock guys out the way, bull people around. You know what I mean? That presence is going to be missed. Without a doubt. We don't have anybody else that can really do that. Yeah, the style of play is definitely going to be very different without
yeah,
Julius Randle out there.
yeah. But Sim, with looking at Obi, listen, he's kind of a on and off player, right? Because we see him getting even 2 threes in a row as far as makes go. But if he doesn't make them, he's just making wind on the court. So
Yeah. Yeah. I had another point that I was going to bring up, but I just forgot it. It just went out my head. You know what I'm saying? Gone with the wind, out of my head. But anyway,
yeah,
the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, have a chance tonight to, I know someone said in the chat that the magic number is 2. I don't feel like the magic number is 2. And help me understand it. If the magic number is 2, I believe the number has to be 1. The Knicks win the
but
tiebreaker over Miami.
but Sim, I think the
Right?
more important before the tiebreaker is going to be that they're going to be winning their division, and if we have the same record, they're going to be winners of their division, and that would put you above the Knicks, I think.
But I think it goes head to head first,
I
doesn't
don't,
it?
I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to
Because the Knicks beat them
argue
3 to
on that
1.
point. But
I mean, maybe so, but I would think that if they're both tied, if they both have a tied record, so let's say they both ended the season 45 and 37, because the Knicks beat them 3 to 1, you would think it would go. The Knicks beat them 3 to 1, so the head to head, the Knicks won the series, so the Knicks win the battle. Now, if they tied, then
yeah,
maybe it goes division record and then conference record or something like that, right?
yes, I'm looking at it at this moment.
Uh huh.
So the first one is head to head won and loss percentages.
Right.
Then it's division leader win tie from team not leading a division. So that would mean that no, the magic number is 1.
Has to be 1 for the Knicks to clinch a playoff berth tonight. right? If they win tonight, because the Knicks have 44 wins and 33 losses. Miami has 40 wins and 37 losses. That means Miami can win no more than 45 games. If they win their remaining 5 games, they'll be 45 and 37, right? The Knicks are 44 and 33. If they win one game, they have 45 wins. And since they own the tiebreaker over Brooklyn, that means that they clinch a playoff berth because Atlanta has 38 losses, so they can only get 44 wins. Toronto has 38 losses. They can only get 44 wins. Chicago has 40 losses. No team below Miami can get any more than 44 wins. So if the Knicks win tonight, I think they clinch a playoff berth. Not the 5th seed, but a playoff berth. And I think, that's big in and of itself to clinch a playoff berth so that okay, there's no way that we can be in the play-in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you don't want to be in the play-in, knowing that Randle might be out for that one game.
Right. And Darren Wayne said because there could still be a 3-way tie. Right. I mean, there could be a 3-way tie in record, but the Knicks have they win the tie over Miami. So I still think it would make the Knicks clinch a playoff berth because they win that tiebreaker over Miami. So even if their record is tied with Miami,
awesome. I get what he's saying because the tiebreaker basis from multi-way ties. The division leader wins the tie from the teams not leading the division, and then it's head-to-head win and loss percentages. So that will mean
say that again.
That it says on the NBA page that the tiebreakers for multi-way ties,
like 3-way ties.
Yeah, 3-way ties. Mm-hmm. The division leader wins the tie from the teams not leading a division, and then it's head-to-head.
So
that's why.
Yeah. Because Brooklyn could still be.
Yeah, Brooklyn
could be 45 and 37 as well. Okay, I get it. I get it. All right. Yep, because Brooklyn has 35 losses. I mean, Brooklyn could end up with a better record than the Knicks, but because Brooklyn has 35 losses. Okay.
Yeah, they got 6 games left.
So then in order to eliminate Miami from this whole thing, then I guess that's why the Knicks would need 2 wins because Miami Miami can't get more than 45 wins if the Knicks get 2 wins, or if the Knicks win one and Miami loses one, then you eliminate Miami. Well, the Knicks would clinch a playoff berth at that point.
Yeah, but Sim, it's a matter of time. I think after this weekend we're gonna probably even know the seedings. So it's gonna be like two more games for each team, and I think it's gonna
right. So
the
Knicks
clear.
So it's important for the Knicks to get this win tonight. And then Miami, they play Dallas tomorrow on NBA TV.
Yeah.
Right. And Dallas is they're fighting to try to get into the playoffs. To try to get into the play-in. So if the Knicks do their job, it's possible after tomorrow they would clinch. Then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you guys helped me understand that. So I'm clear because I was confused. Like, how can that be? But I get it. So Miami can Dallas can do us a lot of favors this year. Right?
Yeah.
They can beat Miami, help us clinch. They can throw us that 11th, they can give us the 11th draft pick. I mean, wow, they can do us a lot of favors this year. Jalen Brunson, they can do us a whole lot of favors this year. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks, they're holding on by a thread, man. They're not holding on to anything, actually. They're 37 and 40, 1 game out of the play-in. Any chance in your mind, Andy, that Dallas just says, forget it. We're not going to do anything. Let's just, let's sit Kyrie. We'll sit Luka. Lose out the rest of the season so that we can make sure we get our pick.
Also, I would be torn if I'm the Mavs, because on one hand they could take it easy, like you say, and try to get the pick at least. On the other hand, Sim, if it's not them, who's gonna be capable to advance from those play-ins if you got two stars like Kyrie and Luca, right?
Right.
I think they could easily go and play versus the Nuggets or the Grizzlies, and versus the Grizzlies, I still think they could have success. Actually, I don't think they could manage to beat the Nuggets, but the Grizzlies, with Luca and Kyrie playing their best, I think that would be a tough series for the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, on the other hand, they can just take these 2-3 losses more, get that 10th pick. The question is, what's the situation going to be with Kyrie?
Yeah.
Because if he's leaving, for me as Luca, I would rather have at least that 10th pick than
Right.
than no help from this year's draft, right?
Yeah. And,
So
and, and Dallas kind of has a tough schedule. Right. They
yeah,
play Miami tomorrow. Then they play Atlanta on April 2nd. Then they play Sacramento on April 5th. They play Chicago on April 7th. All of those teams are fighting for something.
yeah, and Sim, those games versus the Hawks and the Bulls, those games are going to be really important as far as the Knicks draft pick, because uh, if they lose to both the Bulls and the Hawks, that means they might be in the top 10, and then the pick is going to the Mavs.
Going to the Mavs. Right. I would think the Mavs, at some point, they would have to decide, forget it, let's try to keep this pick. I mean, the players aren't going to tank it out, but they can sit guys to try to make sure that they lose these basketball games. You know what I mean? Right now, the pick would be going to the Knicks. Well, I don't want to say that. They're still in the lottery, right? Right now they're 11th. Okay, they would have the 11th pick, but they're in the lottery. So there's a 2% chance that they could, move up to the number 1 pick, or they could grab any of those picks,
Top four.
1 through 10. And if it comes, if it's 1 through 10, then obviously they would get the pick, and then the Knicks would try again and get the Mavs pick next year. Or not that the Knicks would try again, but next year there would be another chance for that pick to go to the Knicks. Yeah.
And Tim, I
yeah.
think that the funny thing here in the draft order, and I'm going to check it right away for you. If I'm correct, it's not exactly like you said, because the Mavs, they got a 77% chance to land 11 with this current record, right?
With its current record.
Yeah, 12.6% chance to land 12,
Mm-hmm.
and only 10%, 10.3% to land in the top 4. They can't be number 5, can't pick 6, can't pick 7, can't pick 8, 9, and currently not even 10. It's like non-percentages that they can go those picks. So it's
Okay.
only a 10% chance that they land at the top 4, and then it's the Mavs pick.
And then it's the Mavs pick. Right. Okay. Well, I mean, 10%, that they can land in the top 4 is even higher than that 2%. You know what I mean? I think the 2% was when I was
For the number
on
one pick,
tank
I
for the
think
number
it's-
1 pick. The 2%.
Yeah.
Right, it's for the number
Yeah.
1 pick. Yeah. So we'll see. It would be really, really nice for the Knicks to make the playoffs and then also get the Dallas Mavericks pick. I mean, it would give them a lot of maneuverability come draft time. You know what I mean? A lot of maneuverability. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, the Knicks got a chance tonight to set themselves up so that all they have to do is get so that they're that much closer to clinching a playoff berth. They win tonight and Miami loses tomorrow, which was just clarified for me. If the Knicks win tonight, Miami loses tomorrow, the Knicks will clinch a playoff berth. So we'll see if the Knicks can do themselves some favors. No Julius Randle tonight. I changed my prediction, my projected starting lineups. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Emmanuel Quickley is going to start tonight. That's what I think. I think Quickley starts at the shooting guard spot. I think it's going to be Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. starting tonight. That's what I think. And for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Caris LeVert, Lamar Stevens, and Evan Mobley. We'll see. I mean, Quickly's been playing well. I think it would make sense for him to start because he's been playing so well, and keep that bench intact. The less changes you have to make, the better defensively. Grimes and Quickly on Garland and Mitchell again. Like Andy said, I would switch and put Quickly on Garland and Grimes on Donovan Mitchell. R.J. Barrett on Caris LeVert, Brunson on Stevens, Mitchell Robinson on Evan Mobley, and then coming off the bench, you got Josh Hart, Miles McBride, Obi Toppin, and Isaiah Hartenstein, keeping that bench unit intact. So we'll see. I don't know. Again, you think it's going to be? I think the Knicks get the win tonight. I think they win. Do you? They're home, right?
Yeah,
the Knicks are home.
Yeah, I think they're going to win, but it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, each team for the season averaging 101.7 points per game against one another. It's going to be a battle. You know what I mean? Both teams have a primary player out. Guys that can rebound the ball. They have those kind of guys out. It's going to be a battle tonight, but the game may look a lot different than we're used to, right? The Knicks will probably play faster, a little bit more free maybe. A lot of threes probably going up. It's going to be a different kind of game, but that's what I foresee, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm done for today. I'll definitely be on the post-game show, and hopefully if the Knicks get this win, we'll be doing a Losers Lounge. We'll see. Any last words before we get out of here, Andy?
Wilson, let's go Knicks. And I hope Julius Randle is going to take care of that ankle, and the Knicks, medical staff is going to do everything in their power to get him rolling for the playoffs, because without him, this whole season is going to be a pain. We played so good, so long, and
that'd be tough, man. Without Julius Randle,
tough, right?
It's gonna be tough to win a playoff series without Randle. The Knicks will need Randle. I think he'll try to give it a go.
We'll definitely. I envision Willis Reed, Julius coming on the court, almost out of the tunnel and stuff like that. But if he's gonna be able to put it out, we're gonna see.
Yeah, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Sorry we couldn't get the caller through. So that we can find out if we'll make sure. Hopefully, I don't think anything was wrong on my end, because I could see that he could hear us, but we couldn't hear him. So we'll make sure we get that fixed and call back tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm up out of here. Appreciate your time, and let's go Knicks. Let's get this win.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.